All right, everyone. We are live on YouTube now. I know when our numbers grow to 100, maybe you might not be allowed to enter the room. So just in case that happens, reach out to us on YouTube, and then you can get in touch with us. Um, all right. So before we start, generally the house rules. Please make sure that you mute yourself if you've not been invited to talk. Please make sure you are muted throughout the conversation. Um, Mr. Jem was also going to give us a presentation about Hope College today. If you're also interested in also applying, please reach out to us, and then we will help you take you through the process. Also, if you do not know, we have an office in Accra, an office in Kumasi. So just so you know, we have satellite offices in Zimbabwe, South Africa, Thailand, Barbados, St. Vincent. Please make sure you also reach out to us. Our numbers are going to be put in the chat box. So if you have any information or if you have any questions too, you can reach out to us. Also, in terms of people are complaining about the appointment at the U.S. Embassy, there has been a petition that has been sent. They sent a memo that they've requested for additional visa officers so that they can quickly open more spots so interviews can start as soon as possible. Also, Ivory Coast is open. People are going there to pick up visas. That is also a very good opportunity for you to do. So we don't want anybody to give up hope in terms of the U.S. There are still opportunities, scholarship opportunities, and the U.S. Embassy is also trying as much as possible to open more spots, have a lot of visa officers so that there can be a lot of appointments. So just so you know, so just to put it out there, yes, the admissions are still going on in the U.S. It doesn't mean that since the U.S. Embassy is not opening up dates, there are, you cannot apply to college here in the U.S. You can still do that. There are so many opportunities in terms of looking for the right fit university for you, your right budget. If it fits your budget, then you can go ahead and apply. So please make it a point to attend, and then let's see how things will go. So please do not hesitate to ask questions after the webinar. If there is anything that you want us to clarify, we will clarify. But before Mr. Jim Crowley starts, we have our brother here, Chisom, who is doing a very great work in terms of bringing international students together with students from all over the world who can talk to international students through his newly developed app. So Chisom, please talk to us about your app, and then Mr. Crowley can take over and talk to us about Hope College. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chinomso Choice Egeleme. I'm from Nigeria. I'm studying here in New York. As Dr. Usu said, I developed an app, Connect Expert. This app will help you on this journey. You know, Dr. Usu has this amazing program that will help you secure admission, possible scholarships, and get into the United States. But there are some other social problems you might have that you could easily ask people around you from your country of origin. So how the app works is simple. If you're in the US, for example, let me use myself as an example. When I register on the app as a Nigerian, I log into the app, then I can find Nigerians around me here in New York City. And I can ask them questions like, which market can I go to? How do I ride the bus? And things like that. Very easy things. You could also network with your community wherever you are. But if you are at home, if you're in Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, anywhere you are, you register on the app. And when you log in, you can see if you're from Ghana, you can see Ghanaians around you in Ghana. But you can also choose United States. After you log in, you can choose any location of your choice, and then you see Ghanaians in that country. And then you can filter them by school, course of study, or workplace. So you can search for Hope University, for example, and you see Ghanaian students in Hope University that are on the app that you can communicate with and talk to. There are some little things you might need, like ask some questions about maybe about the weather, or about how life is there, lifestyle, and things like that are not too official, that a student perspective will help you with. So if you're interested in such a platform, in such a community, you should download the app. I'll be dropping the link in the chat box, and the name is Connect Expert. You can also look for it on your iOS or Android stores. If you have more questions, I'm in Dr. Owusu's WhatsApp group chat. If you have questions, you could shoot the questions there. I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you for this opportunity, Dr. Owusu.
Thank you very much, my brother. And please, if you haven't downloaded the app, please try as much as possible to do. I know some of you have visa interviews. Some of you are also looking for schools, like you are looking at Hope College. When you put it in, you see students from Hope College that you can connect with. They will tell you a lot about the college, what to expect, what are some of the opportunities available. If you're an engineer, you can be able to sort all these things out, and then you can connect with the right person that will also give you a lot of insight about the university. So without much ado, we would give the platform to Mr. Crowley, and then he can talk to us about Hope College. Thank you very much for joining, and we truly appreciate you.
Great. Thanks so much, Dr. Owusu. And Choice, that's a fantastic thing you're doing with that app. I'm excited to take a look at that, actually. I'm sure that it's going to be very helpful to students. So what I'd like to do today, first of all, thank you for joining us on this Sunday. It's a beautiful day here in Michigan, and I'm very happy to be able to speak with you. What I'd like to do is move right into a PowerPoint presentation about Hope College. I welcome your questions at the end. If you think of it while I'm presenting, feel to put it in the chat box, and I will make sure that we get to those questions after the presentation. Yeah, don't forget the question. Go ahead and put it out there when you have it. But let's go to this presentation, and move it up here so we can. There we go. Okay. So first of all, just to give you an idea, if you have not been to the U.S., then you probably wouldn't realize kind of the vastness or the largeness, I guess, or the size of the U.S., right? So we're located in Michigan, so that the black circle there up in the middle of your screen is in the state of Michigan, and we're on the west side. And I'll zoom into Michigan in a minute, but I just want to give you a concept of kind of how large things are in terms of driving or traveling to other parts. So if I wanted to go from my area here in Michigan, and I wanted to go down to Disney World in Florida and spring break or something, want to have a good time down there, that's a 24-hour drive to get down to the middle to right there to Florida. So about 24 hours. So if I wanted to just go around the bottom of the lake to Chicago, which is something our students do very frequently, that's a 3-hour drive around the bottom of the lake right there. From from Holland to Chicago. And if I want to drive out to California, number one, I probably wouldn't drive. I'd probably fly because it's too far. It's a long trip to go out west. So this gives you an idea. We're up in the north. We do have all 4 seasons. Why do students come to the U.S.? Well, I think they come for like a lot of different reasons, and everybody has their own reasons why they might want to come. But definitely, it's a new culture. You're going to explore a lot. You're going to explore a lot personally, academically. You're going to explore a lot in terms of your surroundings, and maybe even get to see a little bit of the U.S. I think you also find out a little bit more about who you are and what you're really getting ready for in your future. And that leads us to things like preparing for grad school and preparing for a career. And we certainly do a great job of that at Hope College, of getting you ready for those 2 things, or either one of those. So zooming in on Michigan, we are on this west side of Michigan in the town of Holland. So we're very near to the shores of Lake Michigan. These are the largest freshwater bodies of lake in the world. And along this lake shore of Lake Michigan, this is the largest and longest freshwater beach in the world. It runs all the way up the side of Michigan. So it's a beautiful area to be in. And the town of Holland is a tourist town. So it's very clean, very safe. And literally, if you were in front of this building, like where this picture is that we're looking at here in your upper right, and if you went out the back side of that building, you would see campus. We're literally right there on the other side of the block. So we're right next to students walk downtown all the time to the cafes, to the restaurants, to do a little shopping. It's a great community, and we're only, as I mentioned, a few miles from Lake Michigan, and Holland has consistently been rated as one of the happiest towns to live in, based on the people kind of saying that they're happy to be there. It's a very comfortable place. So you be coming to an atmosphere that is very comfortable, very safe, very family-like. The other thing, some students like to say they kind of have the best of all worlds, in that they're going to be in a small, safe community, but you're only about 45 minutes, or really only a half hour actually, from Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids is the second largest city in Michigan. That's actually where I live. And so the big malls there, the sporting events, concerts, things like that. You're only half an hour away. And then, as I mentioned in the previous screen, you go 3 hours around the bottom of the lake here, and you're in Chicago. So you can get there by car or by train. The train station is right close to campus as well. It's only about a 5-minute walk or 7-minute walk from campus to go to the train station. And then you can just take the train right to downtown Chicago and experience that. So it's a pretty incredible experience. So why Hope College? So students choose Hope for a number of reasons. I talked a little bit about the welcoming community, and that's true. We really make sure that when you arrive at Hope, that you feel comfortable, you feel at home, you feel ready to go, ready to learn. We also offer a lot of amazing opportunities, and we'll talk more about those in other screens coming up. Our caring professors provide a lot of individualized attention. Our professor to student ratio is only 11-to-1. And our average class size is 14. We have a total of 3,000 students on our campus, and we're in a town of 34,000. So again, it's a small town, but we are ready to, we're over 150 years old, and we're ready to prepare you for a great future. So the individualized attention, and also we are a Christian college. You don't have to be Christian to go to Hope. We have students of all faiths at Hope College, but certainly there is a vibrant spiritual life. Whatever your faith background is, you're able to do that. Let's go on to the next. So we'd ask you, make sure that you're not doing the drawing feature on the screens, if you could, please. We noticed a few marks that have just shown up on the screen. So, so the welcoming community, you can see a few pictures of the screen, or of the town and of the community and the campus. And the upper left is a downtown shot of people just on one of the corners. You'll notice a fireplace in the background. So in the winter time, those fireplaces are going. And so people can hang out in the winter time even. We are all 4 seasons. We're up in the north, so you're going to get a winter. But I can promise you that I've never seen a frozen international student. They've all done just fine. We do a really good job of helping prepare you. You arrive in August, like our students for this new semester, they're arriving this week. So Wednesday and Thursday of this week is when our new students are coming in. Up in the upper right, you see that's a typical athletic event. So you see the crowd, the stands are full. That's probably a basketball or volleyball game. And our colors are orange and white. So that's why, or orange, blue, and white. So that's why you see the orange t-shirts. And then the bottom is our international festival, where we have entertainment from all around the world from our students. So it's a really incredible night. It's in our theater, and it sells out every year. So there's never any empty seats there. So as I mentioned, Hope is a tourist town of 34,000. We're very much a part of that community. We're right behind the downtown area, right next to the 4-block downtown. Many coffee shops, restaurants, and local shops. Also, we run a weekly shuttle out to some of the more discount shopping. So out to the Walmart and some other areas, we run a shuttle out there twice a week. So students can go out there and do some shopping if they need to. We also have what's called a friendship family program. So international students can be kind of batched up with a local family just to have a local contact, somebody who will check in on you every once in a while, see how you're doing, see if you need anything. It's not a host family situation. In other words, you're not going to live with the family, but they're a nice local contact that usually can offer some assistance if you need to run to the store, or they might invite you to dinner one night, just things like that. So it's a nice contact to have. Speaking of the professors, I mentioned earlier the attention from the professors, and that's pretty crucial. You want to have the best experience that you can have in your college, and as Dr. Owusu said, matching you or having you make a match with the right college is really crucial. You're going to be more likely to graduate. You're going to be more likely to have a great experience if you make the right choice. And that choice is up to you. You're the one that has to decide that. But these photos show faculty interacting with our students in different environments. So you'll see a computer lab on the kind of the middle left. You'll see a regular classroom in the bottom. And then this one on the right is actually an African culture night. I don't know if there were particular countries in Africa or if it was just Africa in general. I'm not sure, but they cooked a lot of food. They had students there and faculty and staff. So it just shows you the faculty are involved in our students' lives. They like to come to the events. They come to the sporting events. They come to the fine arts events. They come to the cultural events. They want to learn about you. They want to know about you. So it's a very welcoming place. So I mentioned the 11-to-1 student-teacher ratio. Again, that means that close collaboration between you and the faculty members. At any one time, Hope is funded by or is kind of using $2 million worth of grants at any one time in research. So we're one of the highest funded undergraduate research colleges from the National Science Foundation. So we have, we're in good company. So if you look at the US News and World Report, they put us up in the top 43 colleges in the country for undergraduate research. The schools above us are like the Ivy League schools. It's a very, very big, very strong school. So we're doing some incredible things with undergraduate research. I also mentioned about the amazing opportunities. So this shows you 4 pictures of kind of opportunities that are worth talking about. So up in the upper left, these students, this is a small group, and I don't know if this is the whole group or just part of the group, but they went to Shanghai for a class during our May term. So we have our regular semesters from August to December and January to April, but then we have May term where you just take one class for a month. The May term is not required and it is at an extra cost. So you kind of want to plan ahead for that. But of the maybe 30 classes that are offered during May term, probably 12 to 15 of them are travel courses, either travel in the US or travel international. And this particular one went to China and they were, in Shanghai for about 2 to 2.5 weeks. And they did a few days on campus before they left, and they did a few days on campus after they got back, and all within the month of May. The picture on the bottom left is the New York Stock Exchange, and that would have been probably a business class that traveled there for May term again. And you'll notice the gentleman in the bottom left of the photo next to the woman in red. He is a Hope College alumnus, but and at that time was working in the New York Stock Exchange. He is now the president of Hope College. So doing really wonderful things as the president. He's been there 2 years now. Comes from a business background, not an education background, but really is very creative and really wanting to make big things happen at Hope College. So the pictures on the left side, the upper left, is somebody doing an internship, one of our students doing an internship at the World Health Organization. Now, had that been in the last 2 years, she would have been extremely busy at the World Health Organization because of the pandemic. But even when she was working there a few years back, it was still a very busy and educational internship for her. The bottom right is somebody waiting in one of our career and calling center where we do interviews for internships and jobs after Hope. So we do have a full array of facilities there to help you with seminars, preparing for those interviews, but we also actually have companies and graduate schools that come to our campus to interview as well. In terms of academic opportunities, we have over 90 majors, minors, and pre-professional programs. Of those, approximately 50 are actual majors. And our strengths are in STEM, so science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, business, psychology, and the performing arts. Within STEM, we have a fully accredited engineering program with 8 specializations, including a self-design specialization. So if there's a kind of a program you want to design yourself within engineering, that's a possibility. Within the biologies, things like biochemistry and molecular biology, biochemistry, and then within psychology, we also offer neuroscience. which is a combination of biology and psychology, of the study of the human mind. So, I mean, there's some very intense research going on with our students. Speaking of research, almost all of our students engage in experiential learning. What does that mean? It means they all do either internships, research, or study abroad, or a combination of those. So 94%, so almost all of our students get experience while they're at Hope. That experience looks incredible on your resume. And when you think about it, if you're trying to get a job or you're trying to get into graduate school, how are you going to stand out? How are you going to look different than the next person? Because one thing is going to be very similar. You're all going to have finished a bachelor's degree or maybe a master's degree. You're all going to have your education behind you. So how do you look different? Well, one, yeah, you could have a good GPA. Hopefully you do. But again, many candidates will have good GPAs or good grade point averages. So what makes you look different? It's this kind of stuff. It's the research, the internships, the study abroad, the leadership, the involvement. That's what makes you look different. That's what shows them that you have good time management skills. It shows you that you were able to do and put your knowledge to use, put it in practice while you were at school. So these do make a difference. We do hire 250 students in the summer to do 6 weeks of paid research. So it's research across the curriculum. They just wrapped up the research for this summer about a week or so ago. And so that's another area where you could be on campus and do some pretty intensive research for 6 weeks. And again, that's paid research. I mentioned earlier about being in that group of colleges by the U.S. News. I think I said 43. It's actually 64 colleges in the U.S. that are recognized for outstanding undergraduate research. And again, we're ranked in the first half of that, the top half of those 64. And the ones above us are some of the Ivy League schools, and the Big Ten schools. So, we're in really good company. We're doing some phenomenal things. We're also in the Colleges That Change Lives book, which is a very good resource. I think it just shows you, a group of schools who are doing some really incredible things for their kids. There's 40 some schools in there. And I think that's just a nice publication to be in, a nice one to refer to. Sorry, I got dogs in the background barking. Sorry about that. Part of being in a house. So you've got here's some facilities at Hope. You'll notice that a lot of them are very new. We certainly have some old and iconic buildings such as Graves Hall that's in the bottom, but every other building here besides Graves Hall is built within the last 5, 10, 15, at the most 20 years. They're new buildings. The Science Center is fairly, especially engineering. The Musical Arts Building is less than 10 years old. There's just a lot of brand new buildings. So technology is important to us. Keeping things up to date and ready for you to learn in the most up-to-date environment is very important to us. So we do have a beautiful campus. I might actually show you an aerial tour of campus maybe after we do the PowerPoint, just to kind of take you around campus a little bit and show you some things. I did mention the fine arts, the performing arts, as one of the areas that we kind of specialize in. And I think it's important to note that performing arts and fine arts is available to students, whether you major in it or not. So maybe you're a dancer, or maybe you play, violin or some other instrument, or you're into theater. You can do that at Hope College, and you don't necessarily have to major in it. So we have engineering majors that are in theater productions. We have biology majors that are playing in the orchestra. So, if you enjoy doing that stuff, we encourage you to keep doing it, right? Keep doing the stuff that you enjoy. If you are very talented and would like to audition for a scholarship, then you certainly can do that. They're valued at up to $3,000 for the performance scholarship. That's for music, theater, and dance. And then with art and creative writing, that's a portfolio that you have to submit. And then they're reviewed to see about awarding a $3,000 scholarship. There is a limited number of those, and they do have deadlines around February 1st. But that's certainly a possibility. And again, if you do get a fine arts scholarship, you do have a commitment. You don't have to major or minor in it, but you do have to participate in it. So if it's a music scholarship and you play violin, then you probably will be required to play in the orchestra to keep that scholarship, for example. We do have the Center for Global Communication, and that's where our international student office is. And I work with students all the way through the admissions process. And then the summer before you arrive, so like right now, or this past few months, I've kind of turned the students over to the international office. And we do a 1-week orientation. That's what they're arriving for in the coming week. They'll be here for really about 10 days of orientation before the start of classes. So we're trying to help acclimate you, get you used to the campus, get used to the community and the services on campus, so that you really feel much more comfortable when everybody else arrives 10 days later. We do have a new campus ministries building, which is really incredible. It's got beautiful spaces for studying. It does have like a library. It's got prayer room. It's got, of course, the staff offices are there. We do have non-denominational staff here. We also have a Catholic priest who is on campus as well. And then if students are trying to look for a specific church when they arrive, if to connect, they want to go to a very specific one, we try very hard to connect them with, a local church where they could attend if that would be more comfortable. With the Student and Culture Center, again, no picture of it here. There was one in the previous screen, but every campus in the U.S. has like a student center, and that's going to be where the bookstore is, like the items I listed: a coffee shop, bookstore, lots of space to have events, student life, different types of offices. It's all student focused. So students do spend a lot of time there, whether it's just studying or just hanging out or going to a movie that might be on campus or a concert or something like that. I mentioned the vibrant spiritual life. And so I think it's only fair that we do spend just a minute on that. We are a non-denominational Christian campus. Within the Christian faith, there's many different denominations within the Christian faith. 17% of our students are Catholic, for example. But then you break it down, there's like a lot of different denominations represented, and some are not and some are not Christian. Some of the denominations are not Christian faith, and that's fine too. That does not affect our decision to admit a student. It does not affect scholarship. It does not affect anything really on campus. So this picture you're seeing, it kind of looks like it could be a concert maybe, because it's really packed. I mean, there's a lot of people in the chapel. That's a normal chapel service. So that's like 900 people coming to a chapel service. So I think, that's indicative of that our students, it's important to them to come and spend that time. It's not required. It is totally optional, but a lot of students do choose to do that, and faculty and staff too. So again, we have 20-minute chapels Monday, Wednesday, Friday. They are not required. They're just from 10:30 to 10:50 in the morning. We do have non-denominational service on Sunday, as well as a Catholic Mass. And then again, you saw pictures of the inside of the chapel, and I mentioned the new ministry center as well. Here's some pictures of the outside of the athletic complex. So you're seeing in that picture, you can kind of see the track and the lacrosse and the football and tennis courts. And then this is a list of all of the varsity sports. So these are, again, they're highly competitive. We're Division III athletics, so we do not offer athletic scholarships. However, we get athletes that come to Hope that actually have been offered scholarship elsewhere, partial scholarships, but they came to Hope because of the strength of the academics and the athletics here. Very often we have individuals competing for national championships. We also have teams competing for national championships at Division III. For example, our women's basketball team is undefeated for the last 2 years. Unfortunately, because of COVID, they have not been able to have a national tournament, which is kind of a real bummer for those students those student athletes who have done so well for 2 years. Men's basketball is also strong. Men's soccer is very strong. And we have a lot of individual athletes in swimming and diving and track and field that are very strong as well. So this shows you an inside picture of the basketball volleyball arena. As you can see, it's pretty full. They're very popular sport to come and see at Hope College. And then this is the soccer stadium. Nice facility, very nice facility actually, and a very competitive sport to get into. Our coaches recruit athletes starting sometimes in their first and second year of high school, and trying to get them to Hope College when they graduate. So there's a lot of really heavy recruiting done for soccer. We also have on-campus fitness and intramural athletics. So even if you're not a varsity athlete, but you would like to do some sports, we have ways to do fitness. We have 19 intramural sports throughout the year. So it might, they kind of go all throughout the year. So you might have a season where you've got maybe soccer and flag football going on. You might have basketball going on. You might have volleyball. I mean, there's just a whole list of sports. And so this gives you a look on the inside of that facility. So you see a multi-purpose court with a raised track halfway up the wall that runs around it. There's many, this is like multiple courts can fit on this, in this one picture that you're seeing. And then I think it's 3 side-by-side courts can fit there. And then basketball courts. And then the bottom is the swimming pool. And yes, the varsity team does use that. So only when they're not practicing, then we have open swim time so that you could come and use the pool. So let's look at the living options really quick. This is going to be really a representation of what most US colleges will offer, very similar styles. The on-campus residency requirement does vary from school to school. For Hope College, it's a 3-year residency right now. So you have to live on campus at least the first 3 years. Some students just find it's just a lot easier to live there the 4th year because we are a tourist town. So it's not exactly cheap or inexpensive to find housing in a tourist town. So some will end up finding that it's just much easier just to stay on campus, even if it costs a little bit more money than what they were finding. Plus, there's no public transportation. We're a small town, so there's no need for public transportation. There's Uber and things like that, but I mean, there's no like buses. We do have 2 full-service cafeterias, a snack bar, coffee shop. Within our residence facilities, as it says on the screen, you can choose all male, all female, co-ed. And when I say co-ed, it's co-ed by floor or by wing of the building, not co-ed by room. So traditional style have the bathroom down the hall, community bathroom for that hall, for that wing. Suite style have a bathroom that's shared by multiple bedrooms. Apartment style is just like it sounds. It's kind of an apartment. And then we have small housing units, which you see kind of in the top, the blue and the orange type house. Those are just houses that exist around campus. And we own like 50 of the houses around campus. And so they become our houses, and students can choose to stay in there. We call them cottages, but they're really just small houses. That's another place where you could stay. So let's look at scholarship opportunities. So the first one is a very special one. It is extremely and very highly selective. Okay, and I'm going to be very upfront with that because there's only 20 recipients, and it's not just international. It is US and international. So very highly selective, but it is a full tuition initiative. So students, first of all, have to apply for admission, be admitted, be top quality students, typically the equivalent to an A/B average or higher, not just for admission to Hope, but for the Hope Forward initiative. I would say we'll consider students a B average or better for admission to Hope. Although our average GPA coming in for our freshman class is typically 3.8 out of 4. So an A- average is the average of our first year class. To be considered for the Hope Forward initiative, you really have to be in the top of your class. And then there's a couple of essays that will be required, very specific. This is secondary admission. So in other words, you're admitted to college first, and then you have to apply to Hope Forward. And students will get kind of weeded out right away. The essay competition will tell us who's going to move forward to interviews, which will happen in January. So again, there's only 20 spots that are given out. And so it's almost a guarantee that the majority of them will be US, but there will be some spots that I think I had 5 this year that were international. So just know that we'll get into financial support in a minute, that this is not a full ride. This is full tuition. So even if you were to get this, you'd still have to show another $15,000 in annual support. So again, highly competitive, top students, top essay writers, top interviewers, and then we'll see what happens at that point. But everybody automatically is considered for a regular scholarship. So our regular scholarship for international students is merit-based. I'm looking at the classes you've taken. I'm looking at the grades you received. I'm looking at leadership and involvement, and that's up to $25,000. So you'll see in a minute that our total cost is $52,000 for the year 22-23. It's about $52,000, and so the $25,000 is almost half of the total cost. Or if you look at tuition, $25,000 is about 68% discount off tuition. So it's a pretty substantial award, even though I certainly realize that the additional $27,000 that you have to show is a lot of money. But that's where we're at. It's about $52,000 total. We can give up to $25,000. If a student should move on in the Hope Forward competition and be selected, that award will replace the $25,000. You don't get full tuition plus $25,000. You can only get one of the awards. It's more common that students are getting between $20,000 and $25,000. So if there's any U.S. citizens out there, obviously you can file the FAFSA form and qualify potentially for need-based aid as well. And there's a whole different range of scholarships academically for U.S. citizens. I mentioned earlier about the Distinguished Scholars Award or Distinguished Artist Award. Again, that's up to $3,000 based on audition or portfolio if it's art or creative writing. So before we wrap this part up, I will go over the application process. So we will take the Common App, or we have our own online application on our website. And Dr. Osu and his staff will be happy to walk you through and help you through the process to make sure that everything is complete before we get it. And then I can get you a pretty quick decision. There's a personal statement required as part of the application, and those instructions are given right in the application. We do ask for a secondary school transcript. So we want to see your kind of mark sheet or transcript from all of your secondary school classes and the grades you received. Plus, we also want to see the national test results and the exit exams that you've taken. If you have taken any university classes, we need to see a transcript from the university as well. Most of you would not need to show English proficiency for most of you, if not all of you. We would waive it, but it's really based on what is your first language, what has been your language of instruction. So if there's any, for example, in Cote d'Ivoire or other countries where French is the first language, then in those cases, we would still be asking for an English test. But most other countries where English is the first language, we would usually waive this requirement. There are exceptions if we notice some real problems with English in the essay, if we notice problems with your English grades, we could then come back and still ask for an English proficiency test. The SAT and recommendation letters are optional. It doesn't affect your application either way. If you don't have them, it's not going to be a negative effect on your application. And I do notice questions coming into the chat. Please continue them. I'll make sure that I do answer them. The verification of financial support is, I mentioned in the last screen. And basically, you need to show, in terms of Hope College, you need to show the balance of support of the amount after scholarship. Please note that many U.S. colleges do require you to show full support at the time of application. Like they won't even make a decision unless you show the full support in the bank. We do it a little bit different, and then I'll make an academic admission decision, tell you how much scholarship that you are able to get, and then you need to show the balance. Your sponsor or your parents have to show the balance in the bank. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. So there's my contact information, but I know that we really want you to work through Dr. Oso because he can, his staff are really fantastic and they will help you through the process. But our website is hope.edu, and we also have some phenomenal videos on YouTube as well. So Dr. Osu, if you're okay, I'm just going to kind of try to tag into some of these questions if that's okay.
Please go ahead.
All right. So let's see. Maybe not as many that I thought, because a lot of them I think are from you guys. Let's see if there's any. Yeah, I don't see any direct questions unless I'm just missing them. So
some people are also sending them directly to me, to my my inbox. So if you don't mind me reading them to you.
Yep, go ahead. And I did just see one just did pop into the chat box, but go ahead and do one if you'd like to, and then I'll come back to that one.
Oh, okay. So someone asked, please, can you ask Jim if I'm interested in music, what do I need to do?
Yep. So you could major in music or minor in music, which is a major would be your principal area of study, or minor could be a secondary area of study, or you could just participate. So depending on whichever way you want to do it is fine. But we do offer instrumental and vocal music, and we offer musical theater as well. So it's just a matter of applying for admission and indicating on the application that you either want to major in music, or you could put it as an interest area that you want to participate, but you have another major. Either way is fine. Then what we will do is we'll let you know about the audition dates for music, so that you can, and then we'll also direct you to the website, the music website, where they tell you what they want you to record for the audition. And then you can submit that, by the deadline, and that will be considered for up to $3,000 for the Distinguished Artist Award. And then I would, at the same time, I'd be considering you for admission and the academic scholarship as well. So not a problem at all. And if you, in the process of applying, if you need to connect with a student that's in fine arts, or connect with a faculty member to ask about more about the department, we can certainly do that as well. So hopefully that helps with that question. Nana Yaw put a question in the chat box about required to work. Are you required to work and study at the same time, or only study? The only thing you're required to do is study. So you're not required to work, but you are eligible to work. So you would be on an F1 student visa. And under the F1 student visa, you're allowed to work up to 20 hours a week on campus only. So you can't go to the local McDonald's and get a job. Unless the McDonald's is on campus, which some schools do have a food court on campus, and some do have some fast food on campus, but the majority of the campuses don't. And so you just need to know that you're allowed to work up to 20 hours a week on campus only while school's in session, and up to 40 hours a week when the school is on break or on vacation times. You can work up to 40 hours a week. So that's kind of how that works. But again, you're not required to do the work. Most students will work just because they want to have the personal spending money to go buy a pair of jeans or buy some personal health supplies or whatever you might need. But it does give you a little bit of spending money. It doesn't. You are not able to earn enough to pay your bills to the college. You just will not be able to earn that much money. But in the summertime, if you stayed and worked all summer, then you certainly could save some money toward the next semester. But again, it's really important that you have the outside source of funds, and that's a very stable source of funds that is there to pay your education, and that you're not depending on whatever hours you can work to pay your bills, because you're simply not going to make enough money. So Gideon, remember to keep your microphone off, please, unless we kind of call on you. It helps, because otherwise it'll get a little noisy. Thank you, I appreciate that. So Gideon asked about, does the school offer teaching assistantships? We only have teaching assistantships are offered for graduate school, not for undergraduate. So what teaching assistantship is at a university typically that has graduate programs, and they hire graduate students to do either teaching or research assistantships. All of our classes are taught by faculty. The only time we have students who maybe have been hired to help would be their student workers, like in a laboratory, like in a science laboratory, and they're just kind of helping with the chemicals and helping move stuff, helping around the lab. Or they might be also maybe with a language program, like we've had students in the French or Spanish department who help with extra verbal practice. So the students are still in class with the faculty member during the regular hours, but then the students can sign up for extra hours of verbal practice if they want to. And that's usually with an upper class student. So those students are hired to do that, but they're not teaching courses. So I did get a direct message about nursing. We do have a Bachelor of Science in Nursing program that is, like most nursing programs in the US, it is secondary admission, which means first of all, you have to be admitted to Hope. And then when you come to Hope, then you have to take prerequisite courses to then get into the nursing program. So there's no guarantees, right? You have to do well in the prerequisite courses. There's only so many spots every year in the nursing program, because there's only so many spots to place you in the hospital. So we have to keep within a certain number. And that's pretty much the same for most nursing programs in the US. But it certainly is a possibility. And then, okay, so another student Godfred asked about human resources, the master's. Again, we don't offer any master's classes, so you wouldn't be able to do it at Hope. But my suggestion would be to, use websites like gradschools.com. That's a free website, and you can search on different grad schools, or certainly you work with Dr. Owusu's staff to help you locate universities that do have that master's in human resources. Another one, this is a direct message to me. So this person has a 2-year degree. A diploma. I'm not sure that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how long the diploma
in Ghana, the associate degree, it's called a diploma.
Gotcha.
So it's called either the higher national diploma or just a diploma. So you have to take it. It can be 3 years, it can be 2 years, and then it's equivalent to the AA associate degree.
Gotcha. That's kind of what I was thinking he was saying, but I wasn't sure. So thanks for that question. And we certainly do have students that transfer to Hope College after a diploma or associate's degree or any amount of time in college. The challenge you're going to have, it depends on if you're trying to do the same like this student was in education, and are they coming to finish an education degree? That's fine. But please know that a lot of times with a transfer from an international university to a US university, it doesn't totally transfer. So like you might have done 2 or 3 years, and you might end up getting credit for a year or a year and a half of classes, because the requirements are going to be different for our degree compared to their degree. So certainly it's possible to do, but you might not get all of the credit that you've already taken. You may have to repeat some time. So you'd have to take that into consideration. And you won't know that until the US college does a complete evaluation of your, first of all, they'd have to offer you admission, and then they would do an evaluation of your transcript. And part of that evaluation is you would have to provide syllabi or class descriptions and syllabi for every class you've taken, because we have to be able to evaluate how that class compares to our class. Are they the same, or are they, is it something we can transfer or not? So it can be a little bit challenging, but we do it every year. We work with students every year. So I think the same student talked about having a 3.7 out of 4. Yeah, I mean, definitely any student that's applied is going to be considered for scholarship, regardless of where they're from, what their GPA is. I'm going to consider everybody. And then yes, psychology, this person asked about psychology, and yes, that is offered. I mentioned that earlier, and you can study to be, your psychology degree could lead to counseling, or could lead to education, or could lead to neuroscience, or to graduate school in psychology or psychiatry. And as a very good footballer, and I'm assuming a footballer that they're meaning soccer. I'm not sure, but I'm assuming that's probably what they're meaning.
Yes, soccer.
Okay,
yeah, definitely soccer.
Yeah, as we would call it soccer, but I know everywhere else in the world it's called football, right? So we definitely have an extremely strong soccer program. It's a challenge to make the team, because he gets some of the best athletes, best soccer players, in the Midwestern United States. So we would want to connect you with coach. He's going to need to see video footage. He's going to need to see some kind of an athletic resume. There's certainly the possibility that you could come and try to make the team when you get here. But again, there's only so many spots on the team. So he tends to fill those spots before the kids even arrive. He's recruited them. So it may be that you get here and there's no spot for you your first year, but you show them the talent you have. And then your second year, maybe you're able to get onto the team. But it's about you dialoguing with a coach about that. So a couple of people have asked again about master's programs. We do not offer master's programs. So we're undergraduate only at Hope College. I can go over the application process again in just a second. Somebody said introduce us to the whole program. So by whole program, I'm assuming the easiest thing for you to do would be to go out and, view our website, go to www.hope.edu and really check it out. Go to the Hope College YouTube channel. You can see a lot of videos about Hope College. That would be my suggestion. If you really want to spend some time on learning about the college, right, is to go out to the website. Yes, normally, Gideon, English is waived for Ghanaian students. There are some exceptions, but normally, yes, it's waived. And Elizabeth, no, sorry. Ativo, I think, asked about accounting. And yes, we do have accounting. It's the 3 areas of business we offer: are business administration, accounting, and economics. And the student asked how many years it is. All of our degrees and bachelor's degrees in the US are 4 years. Okay. Dr. Osu, do you have any questions that have come in to you?
Yes, I have one more question that came to me. The student is talking about, so please can you ask him, I'm an international student currently in the US pursuing civil engineering at a different university. Is it possible for me to transfer? And if yes, can I contact Dr. Wusu to help me with the process?
Yes, you can transfer. The next possible time, though, is January. We've already closed admission for fall because they're actually arriving this week. So this fall would be too late, but certainly for January or next fall of 22. So sometime in 22 is fine. And so, yes, certainly you could talk with Dr. Usu, and if he has any questions, he'll get back with me. But the same kind of GPA for a transfer student, we're kind of looking for that B average, especially for an engineering student, because that's a pretty intense program. So we will still want to see a B average, and certainly spend some time, on our website looking at our specializations in engineering to make sure that we have the one you're looking for. But it's a very strong program. And would certainly recommend that you consider it as a possible transfer if you're unhappy. I don't want students to leave a university just to leave, but if it's not the right place for you and you don't feel you're going to be successful, then certainly you can look at other possibilities. Somebody asked about public health or dietetics. We don't really have that. We have a lot of health related majors, but more related to either research or moving on into a health-related graduate school, which public health could be, but we don't have a specific major. They do exist out there, but not at Hope. In public health or dietetics, we have coursework in both of those that are part of other degrees, but not specific programs in public health or dietetics. That was a question I got directly sent to me.
I have another question here.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Do you accept SAT scores?
Yeah, I mean, they're not required, but yes, if a student has one and they want to include it, then I'm certainly going to take a look at it. That's the one advantage of being at a small school like Hope, is I'm going to read everything that's in an application. So everything you send me, I'm going to see, and I'm going to look at, and I'm going to consider. So especially if you have I would say a 1200 or higher, then that's a real positive SAT. The 1,000 to 1,200 is average. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. I would say if it's under 1,000, probably don't send it. Just because then you start because everything that you put in the file, I look at. So I might start to question, well, now the math doesn't look very strong on the SAT. So does the student, did they not have good math preparation, or did they not take tests well? So then you start to question things a little bit. So I would say only send it if you feel it's a strong test score. But again, it's not required. So if you don't send it, there's no negative ramifications if you do not send it. Emmanuel said, he was the one who asked whether scholarship psychology. So as you remember, so our degrees are all 4 years. Our bachelor's degrees in the US are 4 years. So if you've done the 3-year diploma already, it really just depends on how much credit transfers to the US. I can almost guarantee you that 3 years will not transfer. It's going to be closer to 1.5 to 2 years, probably. And that's just a guess, because every school is going to do their own evaluation. But the better documentation you can send with syllabi, course descriptions for every class, the more easy it is for us to do that evaluation and give you as much credit as possible. But understand that the US system is very different than many other systems. We have this general education core curriculum that everybody takes to graduate. And general education is not something you typically get elsewhere. So that's like a couple of semesters worth of classes, 2 to 3 semesters just in general education. And then you've got the major on top of that. So we would try to transfer the best we could, as many classes that we can, as many as you're able to get us descriptions for. If we offer the same class, we try to give you credit. It has to do with us offering the same class, but then also the instruction hours have to match up. So you might take something that's, 55 hours of instruction, but for our same class, we require 65. So it might not give you the same amount of credit as one of our classes. So it gets a little complicated, but we definitely walk you through that if that's something that you decide to do, is want to try to transfer those credits. There was one other one back up here. I think it was a direct message. How much would it cost to enroll in any program, specifically economics or accounting? So please realize that at most schools in the US, it does not major. Now, there are some exceptions. Some of the big universities will have, the prices will change by major. But for most small private schools and many of the public schools, it's the same cost regardless of your major. And that is the case with Hope College. It doesn't matter what your major is, you're paying the same amount of tuition. We're a private school, so it's a flat fee tuition for each semester. So our total cost before scholarship is $52,000 US. And we have, we consider students for up to $25,000 in scholarship. So that leaves a balance of about $27,000 per year that you would end up having to show support for. And your parents or your sponsor would have to show that they'd sign a statement. They'd also provide an updated bank statement showing that they can provide, they have to show at least 1 year's worth of support in the bank. And then the US Embassy and ourselves, we assume that that coverage or that support will be there for each of the 4 years. Okay, so that's why it's very important that this is solid support, because there are students every year, not just from Africa, but just international students in general, that come to the US and their support was not as solid as they thought it was, and they get over here and then their support is gone, and they have to turn and come home after a year, which is really a shame, because that's a lot of time and year of investment of studying on your part, only to have to turn around and go home in a year. So it's important that you have solid support, regardless of the program and regardless of the school that you're going to go to. Dr. Wosu, any other questions on your end?
Okay, let me check. There was a message that came in. Let me check from here.
And I also have a couple of options on a video, whatever you think would be more appropriate. We have a brand new international student video that's about 4.5 minutes long. It does show some students from Africa. It does. It's a really nice, well done video. It's brand new. Or we have an aerial tour of campus, but that's only like a minute and 10 seconds long. But there's no like talking. It's just an aerial tour. So if you want to do the longer, the 4.5 minute one, I think it provides more information, but it does take off a little more time, obviously.
I think we can do that. 4 minutes. We normally have an hour and 30 minutes for the webinar. So, okay. And I know aesthetically they'll be excited to see that as well.
Okay, let's go to that while you're looking for any other questions, and other ones might pop in while we're doing this video. So let me share with you all this video. It's brand new. It has not been shown to very many people yet, so I'm pretty excited to show it to you. So give me a minute to make sure that I can pull it up and find it, because it's on my desktop. Just 1 second. Okay, here it is right here.
While Jim is trying to set up, please, if you've not joined our WhatsApp platform, please make sure you join. Please, if you want to reach out to me too, my number is there. Mr. Theophilus' number is there. Yaria, Kofi, Victor, Annette. You can reach out to us. We have our office in Accra, Kumasi. We have satellite offices in Zimbabwe, South Africa, St. Vincent, Barbados, and Thailand. We're trying to still expand. Texas, we are also top tier study abroad consult is registered here in Texas, USA as well. So please, if you've not joined our WhatsApp platform, please join so that you can get a lot of information. And also download the app that Chinonso also created. And I'm also going to put Chinonso in contact with Jim so that we can see how international students from Hope can also help other African students or students from different part of the world, because on here, I know there are students from prospective students from Afghanistan who just told me they are here, India, South Africa, Zimbabwe. And also, if you don't mind, you can just put your location in the chat box. If you type your location in the chat box, so we can know wherever you're joining us from. Put your location in the chat box, please. Please, Jim, you can go
Great.
ahead.
Thank you so much. Yeah, let's take a few minutes and learn a little bit more about Hook College from some of our students.
I wanted to study abroad, so I was looking at schools all across the world. A school that was smaller community, that was Christian school, and that was very focused on seeing my growth as an individual, especially during these college years. I could tell that this was a place that would invest in me should I choose to come, and I'm
Jim, the audio, you muted yourself, so we cannot hear the audio.
And your colleagues
Is that
are
better?
deeper. It's on the
Yes,
best
sir.
thing you can possibly have.
Let's go
Everyone
back a
knows
little
your
bit.
name.
Sorry, let's go back.
Christian school. Study abroad, so I was looking at schools all across the world. A school that was smaller community, that was Christian school, and that was very focused on seeing my growth as an individual, especially during these college years. I could tell that this was a place that would invest in me should I choose to come, and I'm glad that I chose Hope.
Even before I even was on campus, it just made me feel like I was already at home, and everyone's just so welcoming, and I think that's a great thing about Hope. The relationship between you and your professors and your colleagues are deeper. Some of the best professors I think you can possibly have. Everyone knows your name.
I definitely do feel challenged academically at Hope, and I say that in the best way possible. Just the environment of Hope students being very high achievers. You are surrounded by people that are striving to do and to be more.
Through those experience with different types of classes and education requirements, you get to find out your potential abilities and your hidden skills.
It's helping me gain the confidence that I'll need in the future and in different environments. And with the Christian aspect of it, it's also helping ground me in my faith, knowing what I believe and why I believe it. And I think that's very beneficial as we go out into the world.
As an international student, I would say I was welcomed a lot. My whole family, they always reached out to me if I was doing okay.
One way that I've had the opportunity to share my culture with students here at Hope is through the annual showcase that we have on campus called Images, which is a showcase that international students can come and do different performances from their home country. So whether that's a song or a dance or a play or a poem, anything that is from their home culture. And my friends and I have had the opportunity to do that, and it has been really fun bringing a piece of home into Holland.
I really like the faith aspect here at Hope. That was one of the most important factors in my decision of where I wanted to go to college. Chapels are not required. You are not required to go to church or anything like that, which I think really makes the environment of chapel and the gathering special because it's people that want to be there that are there.
I think what I enjoy most about life at Hope is the community. I am a big people person. I love people. Love the international community at Hope.
We have a really tight community of international students and a really tight relationship with the staff from the Free Center for Global Engagement.
They've been like our American dads and moms.
Personally, safety was the #1 concern I ever had because as an international student, you have to travel away from home. And Hope is a safe place. One of the safest places I think that I've ever been. One of the favorite things that I do off campus is going to downtown Holland. It's just like 2 or 3 minute walk from the campus. It's really pretty.
It's a small town, and I come from the capital city of Honduras. People here are really kind. They always say hi to you. They always want to make sure that you're doing well.
I love going to the beach, not only in the summer, but also in the winter. I think it's really pretty. You can walk on the lake, and I thought it's amazing.
Oh, Chicago. You can also take a train to Chicago, which is really fun with the smaller school community as well. You have professors that are very invested in seeing you succeed.
Hope has prepared me for my future job after college.
The advising sessions really help you to plan out what you want to do during college and after.
Let's go, Hope.
Hope Susu.
Gambaro Hope.
Twende Hope. Vamos Hope. Woo.
Great. All right.
That's a beautiful video. Join the hope.
I hope you enjoyed that. Yeah, you're one of the first groups to see that. It just was finished up. So let me just go back again. I appreciate you all being with us today. Let me see if there's any. I know there's a question that popped in just before I started the video, so I'm scrolling back.
Yeah, I have one question for you
Yeah,
too.
go ahead.
So the student does does a university require the transcript sent from the school, or individual students can send them if we have the original transcript?
The preference would be, and I think every U.S. college would tell you this, and I put my camera back on. Most schools would tell you they would very much prefer it to be sent from the school. Although we understand that sometimes there's one original issued and the student has it, and so sometimes we can only get it from the student. So Dr. Owusu, what I would really rely on your staff, if these students are working with you, I would rely on that verification happening on your end, that we're looking at authentic documents. Again, if it's an international school that just normally does this, the issuance of transcripts, and yes, we would still want it from that international school. But I know that some like native schools or schools that don't often send kids to the U.S., they don't traditionally do, mail out or scan transcripts to the university. So in that case, we would rely on you to indicate to us,
Sure.
Hey, this is the one we have. This is the only one we can get. So it's a good question.
Right.
There's one out there, I think, cost involved. Somebody asked about cost involved. And so again, as I mentioned earlier, our total costs for tuition and fees, room and board, books and health insurance is going to be about US $52,000. We will consider you automatically at the time of application for up to $25,000 in academic scholarships. We do not have need-based aid. There's some schools that do. They're not a high percentage of schools, but some private schools do have a little bit of need-based aid that they can put in there. There certainly are schools that try to meet your full need. But that's a really small number of schools in the U.S. that are able to do that. So I would say that 25 to 30,000 or 20 to 30,000 is a pretty normal amount that students are paying. Although certainly you'll find some that might be lower than that. Make sure it's the right fit for you. You don't want to go to a school just because it only costs $10,000, but you'll be miserable there, because that's not going to be a good experience. So it has to be a combination of that good fit and the affordability. A couple more people asked about graduate programs, and no, we do not offer graduate, master's, or doctorate programs here at Hope College. We're undergraduate only. So work with Dr. Owusu's staff. You could use the website gradschools.com. You can search on that site. It's a very general site, which doesn't cost anything. So there's a lot of good websites out there that are very general and are free. So Roger asked about the language test. Again, if English is your first language and if you've been educated in English, then we would traditionally not require we would waive our English proficiency test. But there are some instances where even if English has been your first language, where we might ask for it. If we see very low grades in English, or we see definite problems in writing an essay, then we may still come back and ask for it. If, however, English is not your first language, or you've not been educated totally in English, then yes, we would require either the TOEFL of 79, an IELTS of 6.5, or 100 on the Duolingo test. But again, if English is your first language and you've been educated in English, then most traditionally we would waive that requirement. Now, every school is different though, so just because we waive it, another school might not. So that's a good question for any school you're looking at. Somebody did a direct message to me and said, I'm holding a diploma in health promotion or public health and working experience. I'm qualified for a bachelor's degree and scholarship. Well, it just depends on the school, right? We don't have a public health bachelor. So I don't think if you wanted to stay with that field, we wouldn't be the right school to look at. But again, most schools in the US, you're applying to the school in most cases, applying to the school, not the individual major. In other words, they're admitting, like with Hope, we're admitting you to Hope College. We're not admitting you to a biology program. You're admitting to Hope College and you come to study biology. So with many, many schools, you'd be admitted to the university and then you'd have to go there and start the major program. So if you've got a diploma, as I mentioned to another student that I think had a very similar degree, a 3-year degree, is that you need to apply as a transfer student. You need to submit probably your secondary documents and the diploma program documents and see if you're admitted. And then if you're admitted, you need to also provide them with the syllabi or the course descriptions for your classes to see how many of those classes they might be able to transfer in. But please realize, as I mentioned earlier, if you have taken a 2-year or 3-year degree, probably all those classes will, probably not all of them will transfer. In other words, of a 2-year degree, you might get a year of credit. For the 3-year degree, you might get a 1.5 years of credit. It just depends on the descriptions you can reach, that you can get a hold of and get to the school. So it's the syllabi for the classes you've had, because we need to compare them to our classes to see how they might transfer. We don't offer medical laboratory technology. You can actually do that in the US. Medical laboratory tech can be done at a community college level. I think you can get a bachelor's, but you can do it at the community college level. It's not necessarily a 4-year degree. Laboratory sciences could be a 4-year degree, but just the tech fields a lot of times are 2-year degrees here. We only offer 4-year degrees at Hope, so you could certainly do many things related to that, the biochemistries and the molecular biologies, things like that, that we do offer 4-year degrees in. So definitely a lot of laboratory-based, technology-based bachelor's programs, but we don't offer the specific medical laboratory technology because, again, that can be done in a 2-year program here in the US, and we only offer 4-year degrees. Let's see if there's anything else that's popped in here. I don't think I've missed any, but
I think you've covered everything.
I think somebody asked about the courses offered. The only thing I can do really quickly, since we're right here, is I can show you and it's on our website, obviously, but I can show you, we can go right here. Let me move this out of the way. And admissions at Hope. So can you see my screen now? Can you see the Hope College website?
Yes.
Okay, so here, this is right on our website under academics. So here's a list of all of the programs, not just majors, but also there's some minor programs in there. There's some specific programs in there about certain things. There's some service offices there, but hopefully you can now see all of the majors that we offer. And obviously on our website, you can click on any of these and you can go to that program and learn more about it, about any special programs they might have, any research opportunities. Some of them have specific concentration areas within. So if you clicked on engineering, then we would find that within engineering, they have then degree programs underneath that. So then we would open that up and we'd see that under engineering, we have all of these concentrations of engineering. So it's good for you to go out to the website and just kind of investigate things and see what you can find out about the different areas of study. And then obviously, if you want to get some good views of campus, going to the YouTube channel as well, because there's a lot of videos about all kinds of aspects of campus on the Hope College YouTube channel. Okay. And then the last one that I see, just have a couple more questions. What if you have done a degree and you want to do another one? Do you need? No. So we would not require, number one, the SAT is just not required, period. So you don't have to have that. You could come for a second bachelor's degree, but just realize it's the same thing as a transfer. So what we're going to do, in order for you to get a degree at Hope, you have to still meet all of our graduation requirements. So we would have to evaluate all the classes you've taken to see how they would transfer into Hope College and how much time it would take you to finish a second degree. I would say most traditionally it's 1.5 to 2 years. It's a minimum of, you take a minimum of a year because you have to do at least 1 year of Hope classes to graduate from Hope. But I would say with a 4-year degree, if you've got a 4-year degree, usually 2 to 2.5 years worth of credit will transfer, but it just kind of depends on the course of study. So we would do the best we could. Does the school accept Sophia course transfer credit? Dr. Owusu, I'm not familiar with the Sophia. Is that a school or?
Honestly, I don't know what the person, maybe it's a typo. So please, Gideon, if you can retype your question or if you can unmute yourself and ask the question. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not sure what Sophia course, unless that's a specific school or specific.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a specific school.
But if you want to give me more detail, Gideon, I can try to answer that. I did have one other direct question. The person says, I'm from a pure technical school background with a city and guide certificate in electrical engineering. Can I apply for the engineering program with that? My question would be well, first of all, yes, you could apply for admission, but we would need to see secondary school documents and the technical school documents as well. And you'd still have to qualify for admission based on both. So you'd have to have a B average or higher in both in order, because we wouldn't just typically from a technical school background, we wouldn't always just make the judgment on that. We would need to see the high school preparation as well. It would also need to be a program that's recognized by the government. So it has to be a technical school that is a legitimate. Unfortunately, there's a lot of schools out there that are not qualified schools.
So Jim, just to put a little bit of emphasis on the City and Guild. City and Guild is a UK based system where students, instead of going to high school, will go into a technical school. So the technical school is like high school. It's like a high school and technical education, where the student get an opportunity to take classes in engineering instead of just doing sciences and then start an engineering program in college. They will start an engineering program right in high school. So they prepare them. So some of them, after passing through City and Guild, they don't go to college because they have the basic engineering skills, mechanical, civil engineering, mostly mechanical, because most of them want to work in the fitting shops where they can fit cars and all that. So that is what they do. I will send you some of them. I've received some students emails whilst you are presenting, so I'll be sending it to you for verification. And I don't know if they have to also submit like a technical school transcript, then we can go through that as well. And it's verifiable. You can verify through the City and Guild United Kingdom website.
And what will their final documents be? What will their graduation, like, I know, like, they're not doing the national exit exam, right? They're not doing the
they do
African, they're doing the West
African.
African.
So it's a different version of the WAEC, or the Nigerians who call it as WAEC or NECO. It's kind of different from the WAEC results. It's City and Guild. It will tell if the student passed, if the student failed. It will indicate all that, so you know the grading system that they used.
Okay. Certainly be willing to look at that. We would have to see whether we feel they have the appropriate academic background or not to be successful, just because they're going to have to take a lot of other courses in the US system. Unless you're going to a technical school, you're going to take a lot of other courses besides the technical classes. So we need to make sure you're prepared, with writing, with math, with physics, with all kinds of other, especially with math and physics for engineering, especially. So anyway, I'd be happy to take a look at that. So another student emailed direct to me and said, my fear is the embassy to deny you a visa after you've gained admission. Well, first of all, you do have to gain admission and show financial support before you can ever go to the embassy. So the admission financial support step is first. But yes, there's always that fear, that you might get denied. There's 3 main reasons why students get denied. One is that the consular officer does not believe that the student is what they call a bona fide student, which means they don't feel that your real true intention is to come and study in the US. So if they feel that in any way that you're coming here to try to work or coming here to stay, they're going to deny you because the purpose of the F1 student visa is to come and get your degree, do the work experience if that's part of your program, and then to come home or to go on to a graduate program and then ultimately come home. The other reason they might deny you is because they don't feel that your financial support is stable. that you don't have enough financial support, or that it's not going to be something that will be sustaining over the 4 years. So that's why I've said quite a few times in the presentation, you have to have very stable funding. You have to be able to show that. And I mean, the other reasons are obviously could be that if you're on a no travel list, no fly list, or some security list or something. But the main two are financial related and whether you're a bona fide student.
And one thing that I can also add to that is mostly the students that go through top tier study abroad consult, we take them through a series of mock interviews. So, for example, a student who just went for the visa interview came to me that he was refused a visa. When the student was asked after school, what are your post-graduation plans? I'm going to work in the US for 2 years and then come back. The visa officer quickly did, as soon as she said work, that was it, like end of conversation, because that is not the main purpose of your trip to the US, or the purpose of you going to the US. I show my students a lot of videos from the visa officers because, as we already talked about, I have had the experience to have one-on-one conversations. I've attended seminars where they presented in India that they've talked about, although there are OPTs, CPTs, that is not your main purpose of coming to the US. Your main purpose of coming to the US is to get your degree and then after that return to your country. If even you have the H-1B opportunity, that is still not a reason why you come in. Some of them also go to the embassy and then they ask them about their ties to their country. They fail to answer these questions correctly. Although these students are genuine, who have full funding, the communication, sometimes the cultural communication is something that is also lacking. So what we try to do as part of the top tier study abroad consults processes of going for the visa interview is to show the students, you might be genuine, but how do you communicate that to them? As an American citizen, I agree with the embassies. What they want is a credible student who wants to come to the US and do what is right. So if you are not genuine, you and I, there's not going to be a click. So yes, we take the students through the process. We have an 88-page document transcript from students whose visas have been approved, so that they can read these transcripts, understand the questions post-graduation, who's sponsoring you. Some of them, they ask them, who's sponsoring you? My father. But they are not able to explain, what does he do for a living? How does a person make the money? How are they even going to be able to support you? These are some of the missing links that get students refuse visas. But when we take our students through, we have about 97% success rate with visa interviews.
Good. That's good information. Thank you. It looks like Gideon did say that Sophia is an online course that students take to earn transferable credit. So as for whether we accept credit from Sophia, it really would depend on whether it's an accredited online provider, what type of class it is, how long the class was. There's a lot of factors. Without knowing more about Sophia, I can't really guarantee that we would or wouldn't accept the credit. I just don't know about it. So I would be happy to look into it, but I can't really guarantee you right now whether that's something we would accept or not until I have more information. And then we would do an evaluation. If we were willing to consider it, then we would do an evaluation just like we would for any other school. The important thing is being able, as part of the application process, being able to get an original transcript from them and being able to get course descriptions or syllabi from them. And then I would probably rely, I would look into it. I might even rely on, wherever Sophia is based out of, I would probably do a contact with somebody I know there to learn more about it as well before I made a decision. Okay. I think we've hit all the questions.
We've hit everything.
Yeah. But let me know at any point if y'all have questions about really, you pose some great questions. I appreciate all the questions you guys have put out there. But if any other ones come up, let me know. If there's other presentations that I can provide that are more general in nature, I'm happy to do that as well. Just know that one thing that I do try to reiterate, that financial aid is a challenging situation. The U.S. education, as you're finding out, is not inexpensive. Unfortunately, it's kind of costly to come to the U.S., but It is very good quality education. It's where I feel worth the investment. But please know that many of the scholarships are highly competitive. And so you need to watch deadlines. You need to watch deadlines for admission as well, especially if you're looking at, well, scholarships definitely with deadlines, and graduate programs with deadlines too. Graduate programs have early deadlines. So you really need to watch those. I would recommend applying in the fall, applying in sometime the October to like January time frame, rather than waiting, because sometimes scholarships do kind of finish up and then they're not available anymore. So you want to make sure that you apply early in the process. And then if you are an athlete, and if you're a very talented, a national or regional level athlete, you've done really, really well, certainly work with the international office to try to connect you with the coach at that school. You can actually also, especially if you're like an individual athlete, so like you're a track runner or a swimmer or something, so you have a time or a distance that you have to work with, you can go to the athletic website for a certain school, go to that sport, and you can see kind of what the competitive level is there. Like, what is the time for the 400-meter dash or 400-meter run, whatever. You can see if you're in that same kind of general area as what their times are. And that will kind of tell you whether you're going to be competitive there or not, probably. Music and the fine arts, we talked about that. Every school will have, if they offer it, they're going to have specific information on the websites about auditions. And then the academic scholarships, many of us make the decision at the time of admission, but other schools might make it later in the process. So it's just a matter of, every school in the US is autonomous and different and how they do things. So it's important that that communication level between you and Dr. Osu and his staff is very strong. That communication level is crucial. And then they will be definitely talking to us about your situation. And certainly will, between the whole group of us, we'll be able to get you some answers that you need. And hopefully, for at least some of you, I hope that Hope College is a school that is a good match for you. But if not, there's a lot of schools. There are 4,000 schools in the US. So there are colleges and universities out there that are a good match for you. It's just a matter of you finding them. So I do wish you all the best in your search. And thank you for the opportunity, by the way.
Thank you very much, Jim. We truly appreciate you breaking everything down and also explaining the process, because most students have these questions, and I'm receiving messages here that the students are saying, thank you, Jim, thank you, Jim, thank you, Jim, and they truly appreciate what you've done and vividly or explicitly explain everything to them for their comprehension. And I know parents who also joined today understands the process, that these are some of the things that I need to do, or this is what I'm getting my kid into and how I need to get prepared for that. Thanks for the parents who also sending me emails saying that, can I talk to you 30 minutes after that? And also keep your thank yous coming. I see students saying thank you. And we truly appreciate you. Honestly, we truly appreciate your time. And I know it's a Sunday that is family time, but you chose it to spend it with us.
That's all right. I appreciate the opportunity. And Sadie did send an email just saying, why don't they offer graduate programs? And that's a great question. And what you'll just find is the colleges, different colleges, universities just have different levels of concentration. For Hope College and many of the small private colleges in the US, our concentration is on undergraduate and preparing you to get into some of the top graduate programs in the country, which if I'm sending Dr. Oso, I might have already done it, but if not, I will, kind of our graduate data, and it shows some of the top graduate schools that our students go to, and it's pretty impressive. And so we're trying to give you all those experiences and things that will look good in your resume so that you will get into the top graduate programs. Whereas if we were a university, then we probably would have the college, the undergrad and the graduate programs as well. But students just choose where they want to have that undergraduate experience. And for Hope College, that's our concentration. We want to do the best job we can of preparing you for the grad school or the job force, whichever you're going to do when you graduate.
Okay. Thank you very much, guys. Also, and thank you very much. And we appreciate your time. Please, if you're interested in going to Hope College, please reach out to us. Mr. Theophilus is there, Yaira is there, Cornelius, Kofi is there. We are all here to help you. We are in a number of 10 people. We are here to give you the best experience and also talk to you to know more about your experience. Also, again, I know some of you are concerned about the U.S. Embassy getting appointment for visas. Please reach out to us. As we already said, there is a memo that has been sent that they've requested for additional hands so that they can fast track the process and get students going through the pipeline. All hope is not lost. Also, Ivory Coast is fully open, it's operational. Students are going there, picking up visas. Students are also going to different parts of Africa to get visas. Still, the U.S. Embassy last week opened dates, October, November dates were opened. We are still monitoring, so please reach out to us and let's see how best we can be of help. And thank you for joining us. It's exactly 2:30 from here. It's 7:30. It's an hour and 30 minutes that we promised. And have a blessed day. And we hope to see you in our offices. Reach out to us. Our numbers are in the chat box. Do not forget to hit us up. And if you have any questions, concerns, anything that you want to set an appointment to talk to us, you hear from us. Also, join our YouTube page. Please subscribe. And then I'll be going to visiting different universities to talk to them. And then definitely, Jim, one day you get an email from me that I'll be coming over. Take a tour. We put it on our YouTube channel so students can learn more about the university. I can also share my experience being there, talk to the African students, talk to the Asian students, because our clients are from India, Europe, and Africa, most of our students. And then we are getting more clients from the West Indies or the Caribbeans now. So it's a very good opportunity to meet, come to the universities and talk to people there and let them also share the experiences as well. Have a blessed Sunday. And Jim, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye, guys. Please, we are done and we can log out.